Well, joining us now with more on this is Michael Stewart, Community Relations Consultant for CAA South Central Ontario. We appreciate your time. Michael, obviously some concerning numbers here. Tell us a little bit more about what stood out in this study.
Thank you for having me. What really stood out in this study to us was the fact that despite popular belief that edibles can perhaps take hours to take effect, we actually learned through the study that those effects can show up at the 90-minute mark. We had participants at 90 minutes who their driving ability was impacted, whether that was maintaining their speeds or being able to stay within their lane. And a third of participants at that 90-minute mark actually were involved in a collision on the driving simulator. And that rose to 44% involved in a collision at the 2.5-hour mark. And even after 6 hours post-consumption, there was still incidents of driving ability being impacted, as well as incidents of collisions on the driving simulator. So what we learned from this is that no matter what, if you are consuming edibles, it's best not to get behind the wheel, as those effects can kick in soon and last for quite some time.
I know that these numbers and the study primarily looked at ages between 19 and 30, but I can imagine that there might be similar numbers and results for adults as well.
Correct. More research definitely is needed to look at other age groups. We focused on those 19 to 30-year-olds because that age demographic is the highest risk at participating in dangerous driving behaviors. And as well, they have some of the highest crash rates nationwide. So when looking at this kind of behavior and research, it's really important to start somewhere. And that was an age group that has the most potential for education and awareness, and they are the drivers of the future. So setting them up for responsible driving habits now can help keep them safe for the rest of their lives.
And for some of these individuals, I can imagine that, there's this sense of false confidence when they just chew a gummy that, could potentially taste like a candy and not really kind of understand what's coming towards them maybe within the next 30 to 60 minutes and 90 minutes. And that really poses a danger because, as the report says, a lot of these edibles, they don't kick in until about 90 minutes later. And by that time, the consumer of that edible is already on the road.
That's correct. One of the interesting things that we learned through this study and through a different driver behavior survey that CAA South Central Ontario has been conducting for quite a number of years now is that there is this false sense of confidence and a disconnect between those who are in a controlled environment on the driving simulator and those in real life reflecting on their behavior. In that University of Saskatchewan study, we had 4% of participants at the 90-minute mark say they felt safe to drive. So a very small percentage felt safe at that moment. But when we looked at the Ontario drivers who have consumed cannabis and gotten behind the wheel, 78% of them felt confident in their driving ability, despite a third of them feeling high while driving. And I think part of that is there is this it's a split-second decision sometimes to drive impaired. So there's a lot of pressure to either get your car home or to get yourself home or get to that next destination. And sometimes you might overestimate your ability to drive. And we've learned through this study and through other research that there is an impact on driving ability. It's not safe to consume cannabis and get behind the wheel. It is illegal. It's also important to recognize that alcohol impaired driving, we know that message, and alcohol and cannabis impaired driving, they're both equally as dangerous and both come with the same consequences. So we really want to remind folks of that, especially ahead of the holiday season, to make that responsible choice and to drive sober.
All great advice. We appreciate your time, Michael. Thank you.